So today we're talking about the commonality in our infinite variety. The tagline for the Church of One Love is many paths, one spirit. Many paths, one spirit. And does that mean that we accept scripture from other religious traditions? Yes, it does. Does it mean that we believe in the fundamental truths of some religions around the world? Yes, it does. But it also means that every single one of us has our own path. So there are infinite paths. There are infinite paths, as many paths as there are people and have ever been people and will ever be people. Because you find your own way to what that spirit is. But I'm like the really lucky person because I love to read and I love to read poetry. I love to read scripture of many types. And all week long, that's what I got to do in preparing this sermon. So I just want to share with you some things that are really, really, I was like, what is the commonality? What is the place where we all meet? When I was in, I guess it was early college, I took an acting class, and it made such a big impression on me. I mean, I took several, but this one, where it was based upon a book by a certain person that said, when you're in an audition, when you're in a scene with another person, whatever it is that you're doing, find where the love is. Even if you're in an argument, find where the love is. Even if what you are singing or saying sounds like nothing like love, find where the love is. That made a huge impression on me, and that is ours to do. This is not a rehearsal or an audition. This is the actual show, and finding the love is what's ours to do. So I want to read for you another poem by Hafiz, who is, like Rumi, from the Sufi tradition of Islam. So Islam, just like Christianity, has a fundamentalist tradition, and it has a mystical tradition, and the Sufis are the mystical tradition. I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. The truth has shared so much of itself with me that I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel, or even a pure soul. Love has befriended Hafiz so completely, it has turned to ash and freed me of every concept and image my mind has ever known. Not beautiful? There are as many paths of people, and the common thread in every single one is love. Love, 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 love. If you do everything right, but you don't have love, you got nothing. St. Paul said that really clearly. If you do everything right, you help people, you live your life right, but you don't have love, then it doesn't mean anything. So we have this need that is universal to love and to be loved unconditionally. And religion is sort of the way people have tried to build a structure around getting that need met. I need to know I'm safe. I need to know I'm loved. I need to know I have purpose. And so really all religions sprang up from this idea of how can we sort of codify this so we can all share in it. And then it got chiseled into stone, and then it stopped growing. And that's every single religion when taken at a fundamentalist level. So, we all want, the Dalai Lama says, we all want to not suffer. We all want to be happy. That's a common thread that we all have. And that is where religion sprang from. We want to not suffer. We want to be happy. Also, there is this common thread throughout the mystical traditions of all religions, that is unity. That there's only one of us here. We feel like we're separate. We're walking around in these separate bodies, but any more than a cell in your body is separate from you, you are not separate from all the other bodies. We are one. One heart, one mind, one organism. We are one. Beautiful. So, the deal is this. In fundamentalism, there is, for whatever reason, a payoff in staying in dualism. We're the good guys, they're the bad guys. We're the ones who do it right, they're the ones who do it wrong. It's based on a system of reward and punishment. If we do something right, we get rewarded. If we do something wrong, we get punished. Are you tired of living in that system? Are you ready to believe that you are more than that? That you're not about reward and punishment, you're about love. And love is its own reward. Okay, and relationship can be its own reward and its own punishment. And yet, love is what it is we're here for. So there is a beautiful man named Bede Griffiths who was an Anglican priest who very interestingly converted to Catholicism. It's usually the other way around. And then as a Catholic, he went to India to try to, missionalize those people in India, and he got missionalized himself. And he opened an ashram in India, and he still stayed a Christian, and yet he adopted many Indian practices. Beautiful, beautiful guy. You can look up interviews with him on YouTube. Beautiful, beautiful guy. He was the mentor of one of my teachers in seminary. And he says, and I think this is a beautiful illustration, okay, the 5 major religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, what did I miss? Hinduism, thank you. Knew there were 5. 5. And all of them have mythologies, stories, origin stories, stories about rewards and punishment, stories about who did wrong and who did right and how they were rewarded or how they were punished and how we got here. All of those, lots and lots of stories. And the stories, although there are a lot of commonalities in the stories are not the same. The stories are what separate us. And unfortunately, the stories are what too many of us concentrate on. We put our energy there. But the truth is that any one, if you follow it to its depth, any one of them, every one of them, leads to love. That's where it is. And that's the commonality. That's the commonality not only in all people, but in all religions. And so, a quote from the Dalai Lama, I believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. From the moment of birth, every human being wants happiness and does not want suffering. Neither social conditioning nor education or ideology affects this. Everybody wants to be happy and not suffer. From the core of our being, we simply desire contentment. So we could say that is the commonality in our infinite variety. We all want to be happy. We all want to not live in suffering and to live in happiness. And the Buddha said, well, guess what? There's suffering in this world. Always gonna be. And the Dalai Lama is a Buddhist, so he well knows that. There's gonna be suffering. So what is the way out of suffering? The way is to hold this world, this outer world, lightly. And to hold this inner world as the real truth. This world of love as the real truth. So I just pulled out some readings and some prayers from different religious traditions that talk about unity. The most holy prayer in Judaism comes from the Torah, and it's the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And as for you, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. The Lord your God is one. The Lord your God is one, not two. And that doesn't mean some God out there is one, and we're all separate from that. One. We're all one. Take that to its mystical edge and know that it's about oneness and love. In the Psalm 24, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. It's all one. It's all one. In Christianity, in Ephesians, Paul says there is one body and one spirit, just as you were called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. You didn't know Paul was such a cool dude, did you? Because a lot of the times he went around being not a cool dude. I'm not going to use the word I'm thinking. But He got it. He got it and he struggled with it. Paul, in some ways, was a great person for us to follow because he was so human, and he was trying so hard. He was trying so, just like we do, and we're so human. And I've had to really heal my relationship with Paul because growing up in the Church of Christ, I realized at some point, the words they beat me over the head with are not Jesus's words. They were all Paul's words. The words about women shall not speak in church, and you're not supposed to cut your hair, and all this weird stuff. And can you imagine? Here I am, woo! I haven't been struck by lightning yet, so it must be okay. But this idea that God is in all of us. God is in and through, living through all of us. Jesus in Matthew said, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." And I love this when you take that really deep, not love your neighbor as much as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. Think about that for a minute. What you do to another, you do to yourself. That's just the truth. When you love another, you are bringing love into your heart, into your life. When you punish another, you are bringing punishment into your heart, into your life. When you disdain another, you are bringing disdain and contempt into your heart and your life. Love, because of that unity, right? We can't do anything to another that we're not doing to ourselves because we are one. And so there's only one way to live in that oneness, which is love. In John, Jesus said, "I give you a new commandment, love each other. Just as I have loved you, so you must also love each other. This is how everyone will know you are my disciples, when you love each other." Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's basically the golden rule right there. That's another thing that all major religions have in common, is some version of the golden rule. From the Isha Upanishad in Hinduism, the Lord is enshrined in the hearts of all. The Lord is the supreme reality. The self is one. That's self with a capital S. Without self, life could not exist. The self seems to move, but is ever still. It seems far away, but is ever near, is within all, and transcends all. Those who see all creatures in themselves and themselves in all creatures know no fear, know no grief. How can the multiplicity of life delude the one who sees its unity? That explains pretty beautifully, and this was 5,000 years before Christ this was written, the Upanishads. 5,000 years. Think about that for a minute. They got it. This is not a new thought. It bothers me when we talk about new thought. It's not a new thought. It's just a thought that other people have rejected and not been codified, which is, let's not codify it, please, because there is such a thing as new thought fundamentalism. I've seen it, and it's not pretty. Don't write down a rule. Live in love. That's the only rule, and then you'll know what to do, and you will have no fear and no grief, because if something is one with you, how can you fear it? If something is one with you, you can't lose it. Think about that for a minute. So why would there be grief? And am I saying this is an easy way to live? No, it is not. Our human minds tell us lies. And I think that's the point of having this human birth. We get to, from the oneness that we know that we are, come down into these individual bodies and try to remember that when we're feeling sometimes awful, when we're suffering, when we feel loss, when we feel punishment, when we feel danger. Then we have to make a choice. When we're all up in, ooh, and love, you're not necessarily making a choice. You just are that. God is that. We are that. But when you get in this cumbersome, painful, weird body and get thrust into a culture that tells you lies constantly every day through every medium possible, every day, then it's harder to remember your oneness. It's harder to remember your love. So everything we do is meant to give us tools to help us remember who we already are in the first place. We don't follow a religion or a path to get better. We follow one to get who we are, to remember, to be aware. As I said in the opening prayer, to be aware. The presence is already here. You don't have to go anywhere for it. You just have to be aware that it is here. In the Bhagavad Gita, love spontaneously gives itself in endless gifts. I just love that. Love spontaneously gives itself in endless gifts. If you are in love, you cannot help giving. Love and give are the same thing. But those gifts lose their fullest significance if through them we do not reach that love which is the giver. So love is giving, and if we just enjoy the gifts without understanding that we are also the giver, then we've got some wonderful things going on, but we may have missed the point. The Baha'i religion is the one that I would most closely associate myself with at this point in my life, because they believe, and their mission is to bring unity to all the religions, not to get rid of them, but to bring them into unity. And one of the Baha'i scriptures is this, and y'all, it's not like being a Baha'i makes you above everybody. They've got their own fundamentalism. But still, this scripture, "O ye beloved ones of God, the manifestation of the light of unity is for binding together the people of this world. If this unity is not attained, the tree of life is made fruitless, and heavenly bounty is not utilized. The blessed blood of the saints was shed for bringing about unity and harmony. These souls give their lives as sacrifice in order to produce the love that bindeth the hearts of all people. Therefore, you should all spend your efforts in uniting and reconciling the people so that the light of God's love may permeate the universe." The whole reason we think we're separate is to join together as one voluntarily. Voluntarily. We get choice. Yikes! We talked about that last week. We get choice. We're always at choice. Every moment we're at choice. And so the only hope of making the choice for love is to stay in awareness as much as possible, and not to punish ourselves when we're not in awareness. When we realize we're not in awareness, there's an opportunity to remind ourselves again. So if we forget 70 times, we can remember 71 times. And that's the point. You're not doing it wrong, but you might be able to do it where your life expands even more. Where the love you give feels as good as the love you receive. Where the love you give and the love you receive stop being separate things at all, and they're just one thing. In the Quran, from Islam, you will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. And the believer in Islam means one who follows the path of love. Okay, so if you call yourself a believer but you don't love, then you're not really a believer. And when you love one another, you become a true believer. What does that sound like? Does that sound like 3 or 4 of the other scriptures I just read? Not one of you truly believes until you wish for others that which you wish for yourself. No one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself. Want to be a believer? It's going to require you to love some things that don't feel lovable all the time. Again, from the Quran, "Do unto all men as you would wish to have done unto you, and reject for others what you would reject for yourself." If it's not good for you, it's not good for them. If it's good for you, it's good for them. If it's good for them, it's good for you. There is no private good. If it's truly good, it's good for everyone. Rumi says, "Love is reckless, not reason. Reason seeks a profit. Love comes on strong, consuming herself unabashed. Yet in the midst of suffering, love proceeds like a millstone, hard-surfaced and straightforward. Having died of self-interest, she risks everything and asks for nothing. Love gambles away every gift God bestows. Without cause, God gave us being. Without cause, give it back again. That right there is what we talk about in the fundamentals of prosperity, right? That you cannot, anything you give was already God's, and so it's still yours because you are in God. And so you have no fear of giving because receiving is always happening while giving is happening because we are one. Try it and watch it proved in your life. I have tried it. I've watched it proved in my life. If you can't, my dad used to say, well, you can't outgive God. You can't outgive God. And he was a fundamentalist preacher and an army colonel and an alcoholic. Let's talk. I've overcome a bit to be up here. Having died of self-interest, she risks everything and asks for nothing. Don't you know that the times when we're not willing to give love is because we think if we give it away, then I'll have less. Or if I make her happy, maybe I won't be as happy. It doesn't work that way. That's the blessed truth, is that it doesn't work that way. It works the opposite way. And all these people from across the world from each other who never met each other, 5,000 years before Christ, right as Christ was born, 50 years ago, all of them come up to the same place, and they found it on their own. It's love. It's God. It's all one. We're all one. So stop pretending you're not one with everyone else, because that's what causes all the trouble. That is my summation. The Buddha said, whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others. Same thing. It's the golden rule. It's the golden rule, which comes up in every culture. In the Quran, and this is the problem with fundamentalism, right? We start what is codified, we believe the actual words of what was codified, we lose the soul of it. We start being concerned about following the rules, and we lose that the rules were to try to get you to love. If the rules aren't getting you to love, shove those rules aside. They do not serve you if they do not serve love. They do not serve God if they do not serve love. And in the Quran, it says the greatest jihad, which means struggle. It's often translated as war. It means struggle. The greatest jihad is to battle your own soul, to fight the evil within yourself. So know that the Islamists that we are taught to be scared of and told to be scared of, and that word jihad that gets bandied about, yes, there are people who have taken that word out of the Holy Quran and used it as an excuse to harm other people, just as the Christians have done for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? Yep. Just as, unbelievably, the Hindus still do to the Muslims in India. Unbelievably, it's still happening, y'all, and we know the truth. The truth is there. But we get scared and we tend to ignore the truth that is there and look for and listen to this tiny little person who feels separate from everybody and feels like we have to protect ourselves. The Buddha also said, our own worst enemy cannot harm us as much as our unwise thoughts. No one can help us as much as our compassionate thoughts. Well, think about that for a minute. What are your thoughts? Can you bring them to love? Confucius says, love others as you would love yourself. Judge others as you would judge yourself. Cherish others as you would cherish yourself. When you wish for others as you wish for yourself, and when you protect others as you would protect yourself, that's when you can say it's true love. Confucius. And Confucianism is kind of regarded as a wisdom, or as a religion, except they don't necessarily believe in a God. They believe in love, which is the only God I have or need. Right? Amen. Just didn't feel like putting a name on it and letting a bunch of rules get around it that might spoil it. That's when you can say it is true love. And by the way, this is prophetic, because you do love others as you love yourself. You do judge others as you judge yourself. So when you're being harsh to people, in a very literal sense, it's because there's something in you that feels lacking. And so this is the first place to give the love. You are as worthy as anyone else. You are as worthy as Jesus. You are as worthy as Muhammad or Buddha. You are as worthy as the Dalai Lama of love and regard. So give it to yourself. And when you do, it'll be so much easier to give it to everyone else. Even in secular humanism, in the creed of the Unitarian Universalists, we have a call to make the world the kind of place we all want to inhabit. It is a call from one person to another, not to deny our human nature, but to embrace and celebrate it. I love that. What do you think? From the Navajo tradition, make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother or sister, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Did y'all hear anything in any of these scriptures that was like real different from anything else? Yeah. Only the mythology, only the stories behind it. And the Tao, finally. The best, like water, benefit all and do not compete. They dwell in lowly spots that everyone else scorns. Putting others before themselves, they find them themselves the foremost place and come very near to the Tao. In their dwelling, they love the earth. In their heart, they love what is deep. In personal relationships, they love kindness. In words, they love truth. In the world, they love peace. In action, they love choosing the right time. It is because they do not compete with others that they are beyond reproach of the world. So, if you can, and I know it's a really, really hard time in this world. It's a really, really hard time in our culture. It's a really, really hard time with our political system. But the more you other people, the more we harm ourselves. And so look for the love. Back to that initial acting lesson. Look for the love. Find the love. It is there. If you do not believe that love is everywhere, is in everyone, then you cannot possibly believe that it's in yourself. And so look for it. You don't have to find it. You don't have to reason it out and go, well, here's one reason why I could love this person if they blah, blah, if this is what they really meant. You don't have to even go through all of that. You can go, I know there's love there. Leaving the rest to you, God, because I'm not that big right now in this human body. I'm only this. But I know the truth is I'm much bigger than that. And so I'm going to trust that truth. That is the commonality in our infinite variety. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take just a couple of moments to go into meditation on that. We are one heart. We are one mind. We are one in love and light. Breathe that into yourself. One. Or as they say in some Eastern traditions, not two. Not two. One. Only one. And picture yourself perhaps sitting across the table from someone. Maybe someone you love, maybe someone you're having problems with, maybe someone you don't know. And in your heart, say these words, we are one mind. The mind of God. We are one heart. There is always love here. in love and light. It really helps to not try so hard to understand, but just to allow ourselves to love. It's safe. It's safe to love. You are safe in love. There is nowhere that you are safer than in love. And by your love, you make those around you safe. So breathe it in. Breathe in this love that you are. And breathe out, I am love. Every breath I take is a breath of love. Every move I make is a move of love. Every word I speak is a word of love. Every song I sing is a song of love. Say into your own mind, in the silence, when there seems to be nothing, there is love. Look for it, ask for it, bask in it. And out in the world, in the noise, in the traffic, in the congestion, in the confusion, there is love. Allow it to be love in you. You don't even have to come up with love. You just have to allow the love that is already there to shine through. Practice letting love be uppermost in your mind. So I'm going to ask you to just repeat love, 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 love in the forefront of your mind, and then allow anything to come up that does come up. Any yeah, but you don't know her. Any but why can't I get through to him? Any relationship that comes up in your life that doesn't feel like perfect love, keep love in the forefront of your mind. Keep that love as your solid truth in your own mind, in the presence of that person or that dilemma, in the presence of the 6 o'clock news. Let love become a chant that is going on in your mind all day, every day. Love, 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 love. And when other thoughts come in that don't feel loving, just drown them out. Love, 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 love. And that's how we practice. We're practicing love. We can practice love with no one else around. And then we can practice love with everyone who comes our way, if we wish to. And anytime we're overwhelmed and just can't seem to feel it, you don't have to feel it. You can withdraw. You can go apart again and remind yourself, love is who I am. I don't have to feel it. It's who I am. It's the truth.
may question how to give it in any moment, but I accept it as the truth of who I am. And if I accept it as the truth of who I am, I must accept it as the truth of who you are. And I will not allow any words that come out of your mouth or any actions that you engage in to rip me from the love that I am. Know that about yourself. That if you choose, nothing can stop your love. Nothing can hold back your love. Nothing can move your love aside. It is yours to give always. And always yours to receive, so pay attention. It comes in myriad ways. Simply know as you go out from here, I am love, I am one. I live in God just like everyone else. And I am grateful for this living truth that has its life through me. And so it is. Amen.